The Imperium calls them the Ancients, walking legends, heroes who have cheated death to serve the Emperor Eternal. But let's be honest, that is Imperial propaganda. In reality, they are screaming torsos, hardwired into walking tanks. They are stumps of meat floating in amniotic fluids, denied the peace of the grave so they can kill Xenos for another 1,000 years. From the boxy Castra Ferrum to the sanity-shattering Leviathan, the Imperium has deployed over 20 distinct patterns of these armoured sarcophagi across 10,000 years of war. Some are tactical masterpieces, some are technological heresies, and some are just giant coffins with legs. Today, we aren't just looking at the cool ones. We are breaking down every single Dreadnought variant known to the Adeptus Astartes and the Custodes to find out which one is the deadliest and which one is just a glorified tomb. Buckle up. We're going into the crypt. We start with the icon, the silhouette that defines Warhammer 40,000, the walking refrigerator of doom. These are the Castroferum patterns, affectionately known as Boxnaughts. They aren't pretty, they aren't aerodynamic, but by the throne, they get the job done. Number 1. The Castroferum, Mark V Mars pattern. This is it, the standard. When you close your eyes and picture a dreadnought, you are picturing the Mark V. It stands about 3 times the height of a man, squat and angry. It was designed to be easily manufactured and easily repaired, which is Imperial code for we can build these out of scrap metal and hatred. The pilot is housed in a sarcophagus located in the center of the chassis. Here's the horror of it. The pilot isn't driving the dreadnought like a car. He is the dreadnought. His nervous system is surgically spliced into the machine's sensors. When the optical cogitators see an orc, the pilot sees an orc with his own eyes. When a lascannon hits the armor plating, the pilot feels it as pain. The Mark V is rugged, adaptable, and can fit into boarding torpedoes and drop pods because of its low profile. It is the workhorse of the Astartes, armed with everything from assault cannons to power fists. It is reliable. It is sturdy. And it is the most common way for a space marine to spend eternity in claustrophobic darkness. Number 2, the Castroferum Mark IV. Before the Mark V became the standard, there was the Mark IV. You can spot these by the curved armor plating on the front. It looks slightly less like a brick and slightly more like a brutalist sculpture. The Mark IV dates back to the Great Crusade, and in terms of lore, it is considered technologically superior to the Mark V. Its power plant is more efficient, its sensor suite is sharper, and its localized shielding is more robust. But here is where 40K logic kicks in. The technology to mass-produce the Mark IV is lost. The Mechanicus knows how to fix them, but they don't really know how to build new ones from scratch without performing 12 rituals and sacrificing a toaster. As a result, Mark IVs are treated as relics. If a chapter has one, it is usually reserved for the oldest, most prestigious heroes. While the Mark V is a tool of war, the Mark IV is a shrine of war. Number 3, the Venerable Dreadnought. Technically, Venerable isn't a separate chassis pattern. It is a title. But in practice, it functions as a completely different beast. A standard Dreadnought pilot might be 3, maybe 400 years old. A Venerable Dreadnought pilot has been crushing skulls for thousands of years. We are talking about warriors who remember the smell of Horus Lupercal's cologne. Because the pilots are so ancient and so skilled, the Tech Marines upgrade their chassis with artificer armor, gold filigree, and purity seals. Lots of purity seals. The logic is simple. If the guy inside is one of the greatest warriors in human history, you don't put him in a rust bucket. You put him in a gilded tank that hits on a 2+. However, there is a cost. The older the mind, the harder it is to wake up. Venerable dreadnoughts spend decades, sometimes centuries, in dreamless sleep, only awoken for the most desperate battles. And when they do wake up, they are usually cranky, confused, and incredibly violent. Number 4. The Ironclad Dreadnought. If the standard Castroferrum is a tank, the Ironclad is a battering ram. Designed specifically for siege warfare and city fighting, the Ironclad sacrifices range for raw durability. It features reinforced front armor and additional void shielding, making it functionally immune to small arms fire and resistant to anti-tank weaponry. The weaponry is pure brutality. It typically mounts a seismic hammer, a weapon designed to pulverize ferrocrete bunkers, or a chain fist designed to cut through bulkheads. It also carries hunter-killer missiles, because why not? The Ironclad's job is to walk through a wall, look the enemy commander in the eye, and turn him into paste. It is a terror weapon, plain and simple. Space Marines inside Ironclads tend to be the most aggressive brethren, the ones who didn't understand the word retreat when they had legs, and certainly don't understand it now that they are made of adamantium. Number 5. The Siege Dreadnought Infernum Pattern. Sometimes a seismic hammer isn't enough. Sometimes you need to set the entire zip code on fire. Enter the Siege Dreadnought. This variant is built on the Castroferrum chassis, but replaces the standard weapon mounts with an Inferno cannon, a massive flamethrower that sprays prometheum fuel so hot it can melt power armor. On the other arm, it usually carries a siege drill. This isn't a delicate mining tool, it's a grinding, tearing nightmare designed to chew through fortress gates and tyrannid bio-titans alike. The Infernum pattern is a specialized tool for a specific job, digging the enemy out of a hole and burning them to ash. It's not subtle, it's not versatile, but if you have a Genestealer infestation in your basement, this is the exterminator you call. Number 6. The Mortis pattern. Mortis is High Gothic for death, and this pattern lives up to the name. While most dreadnoughts are brawlers designed to get close and punch things, the Mortis is a gun platform. It sacrifices its melee power fists for dual heavy weapon mounts, 2 twin-linked lascannons, 2 missile launchers, or 2 autocannons. The Mortis has an advanced helical targeting array that allows it to track high-speed targets, making it the premier anti-aircraft dreadnought. It stands back, locks onto enemy flyers, and swats them out of the sky. The pilot of a Mortis needs a different temperament. Cold, calculating, patient. While his brothers are in the mud tearing limbs off orcs, the Mortis pilot is doing trigonometry to calculate lead times on a zoomed-in targeting reticle. It is a sniper rifle the size of a building. Now we move away from the standard issue. The Codex Astartes supports the Castroferrum, but some chapters looked at the Codex, laughed, and decided to build their own nightmares. These are the divergent strains, tailored to the specific genetic flaws and cultures of their parent legions. Number 7. The Chaplain Dreadnought. Faith is a weapon, but a twin-linked heavy bolter is also a weapon. The Chaplain Dreadnought combines both. When a chaplain falls in battle but is saved by the sarcophagus, he doesn't stop preaching. His chassis is fitted with massive vox emitter grills that amplify his voice to deafening levels. Imagine a tank screaming liturgies of hate at 140 decibels while crushing you with a power fist. That is the Chaplain Dreadnought. They are terror units, inspiring the brethren around them and breaking the morale of the enemy. They serve as the spiritual anchors of the chapter, reminding the young Space Marines that duty does not end in death. It just gets louder. Number 8. The Librarian Dreadnought. This is a Blood Angels exclusive, because apparently the sons of Sanguinius have no chill. In most chapters, when a librarian gets mortally wounded, they harvest his gene seed and give him a nice funeral. The psychic strain of piloting a dreadnought is usually too much for a psyker's mind to handle. The Blood Angels said, Hold my wine. They engineered a sarcophagus equipped with a psychic hood, allowing the crippled librarian to channel the energies of the warp through the machine. The result is terrifying. A librarian dreadnought can fly. Yes, fly. Using the wings of sanguineous psychic power, propelling a 12-ton metal box through the air to slam into the enemy lines with a force halberd. It is a wizard in a tank. It defies physics. It defies logic, and it is absolutely magnificent. Number 9. The Furioso Dreadnought. Another Blood Angels special. The Furioso is what happens when you take a standard Castroferum and optimize it for pure, unadulterated rage. It abandons all ranged weaponry. No heavy bolters, no lascannons, just 2 massive power fists, or sometimes 2 lightning claws. The armor is thicker, the servos are overcharged, and the pilot is usually a veteran who prefers close quarters combat. The Furioso is designed to be dropped into the thickest fighting, where it can tear apart enemy armor with its bare hands. It is a berserker engine. There is no strategy here other than run forward and kill. Number 10. The Death Company Dreadnought. But wait, it gets worse. The Blood Angels suffer from the Black Rage, a genetic curse that drives them into a psychosis where they believe they are sanguineous fighting Horus. Usually, those who fall to the rage are put into the Death Company infantry to die in battle. But what if a dreadnought pilot falls to the rage? You get the Death Company Dreadnought. This is a machine piloted by a madman. He is hallucinating that he is fighting the arch-traitor on the vengeful spirit. He does not feel pain. He does not acknowledge damage. He ignores orders. The tech marines just point him at the enemy, release the docking clamps, and run in the other direction. It is a tragic, horrifying weapon of mass destruction that murders everything in its path until it is finally destroyed. Number 11. The Murderfang Wolfen Dreadnought. If you thought the Blood Angels were crazy, look at the Space Wolves. The Murderfang is a unique character, but represents the concept of the Wolfen Dreadnought. The Space Wolves have a genetic flaw called the Canis helix that can turn them into feral beasts. Sometimes a dreadnought pilot succumbs to this curse inside the sarcophagus. The result is a metal wolf monster. The pilot has mutated into a feral beast fused with the machine. The Space Wolves equip these monstrosities with murder claws, giant ice-infused talons, and let them loose. It's a werewolf in a tank. It bites, it claws, it howls. It is the most heavy metal thing in the entire setting. It completely abandons the noble ancient trope for rabid dog made of steel. We now leave the 41st millennium and look back to the 31st. During the Great Crusade and the Horus Heresy, the Imperium had access to technology that makes modern gear look like toys. These are the relic dreadnoughts. They are faster, stronger, and infinitely more valuable. Number 12. The Contemptor Pattern. This is the Ferrari of dreadnoughts. While the Castroferum is a walking box, the Contemptor is a humanoid giant. It mimics the human physiology much more closely, allowing for speed and dexterity that a boxnaut can only dream of. A Contemptor can run. It can dodge. It can wield a sword with finesse. The secret sauce is the atomantic shielding. Instead of heavy physical armor plates, the Contemptor generates a powerful force field powered by an atomantic reactor. This makes it incredibly durable against energy weapons. However, the tech to make the reactors is largely lost. Every Contemptor currently in service is a 10,000-year-old relic. Losing one is considered a tragedy on par with losing a company captain. If you see a Contemptor on the field, know that the chapter is playing its trump card. Number 13, the Contemptor Galatus. The Adeptus Custodes, the Emperor's personal bodyguards, do not use standard Space Marine gear. They use the gold-plated premium version. The Galatus is a Contemptor chassis modified for the Custodes. It is bigger, golder, and faster. It is armed with a Galatus warblade, which is essentially a power sword the size of a telephone pole with a built-in heavy flamer. On its other arm, it carries a Presidium shield, a massive slab of energy-shielded armor. The Galatus is a duelist. It dances through the battlefield, blocking anti-tank rounds with its shield and slicing tanks in half with its sword. It is elegance and violence in perfect harmony. Number 14. The Contemptor Achilles. If the Galatus is the shield, the Achilles is the spear. Also a Custodes variant, the Achilles is designed as a monster hunter. It wields the Dread Spear, a massive power glaive that incorporates a Corvée las Pulsar. The Achilles is terrifyingly fast. It doesn't plod, it charges. It is designed to hunt enemy commanders and super heavy assets. It impales demon engines, lifts them off the ground, and blasts them apart from the inside. It proves that the only thing scarier than a Space Marine in a Dreadnought is a Custodian in a Dreadnought. Number 15. The Dreadnought pattern. Back to the Astartes. The Dreadnought looks weird. It looks like a boat with legs. It shares the same internal systems as the Contemptor, but is designed purely for heavy fire support. It sacrifices mobility and melee capability for massive weapon batteries. It typically mounts the Anvilus autocannon battery or the Hellfire plasma carronade, but its coolest trick is the Iolos missile launcher, a top-mounted system that can fire at enemies out of line of sight. The Dreadnought is a walking artillery piece. It anchors the battle line, providing a bubble of no that enemy aircraft and tanks cannot enter without exploding. It's ugly, but effective. For 10,000 years, the Dreadnought design didn't change much. Then came Belisarius Cawl and the Primaris Marines. He decided that the old designs were too small and not depressing enough. He gave us the Redemptor chassis, the new standard for the Dark Millennium. Number 16. The Redemptor Dreadnought. The Redemptor is massive. It towers over the Castroferum and even the Contemptor. It is faster, better armored, and carries enough firepower to level a city block. It has Onslaught Gatling cannons, macro plasma incinerators, and Icarus rocket pods. It is a marvel of engineering. But there is a catch. Of course, there is a catch. The Redemptor systems are incredibly demanding. The neural link is so powerful that it doesn't just connect to the pilot, it consumes him. The reactor bleeds radiation, and the neural feedback burns out the pilot's brain over time. In the old days, a Dreadnought pilot could serve for centuries. In a Redemptor, they are lucky to last a few decades before they are spent. The pilot is treated as a disposable battery. It is the ultimate expression of the modern Imperium. Powerful, impressive, and utterly uncaring of the human cost. Number 17. The Brutalis Dreadnought. If the Redemptor is the tactical all-rounder, the Brutalis is the terror weapon. It strips out the heavy guns and replaces them with massive melee implements, specifically Brutalis talons or fists. It also mounts hull-mounted heavy bolters for crowd control. The Brutalis is designed to break lines. It charges in, tanking hits that would destroy a lesser machine and physically tears the enemy apart. It shares the Redemptor's flaw. It eats its pilots. But since Brutalis pilots are usually thrown into the most suicidal melees, they often die in combat before the machine has a chance to burn out their brains. Small mercies, right? Number 18. The Ballistus Dreadnought, the newest addition to the family. The Ballistus is the long-range fire support version of the Redemptor chassis. It is essentially a modernized Mortis pattern, but on steroids. It carries a twin-linked Lascannon and a missile launcher. It solves the problem of the Castroferum's slow speed. The Ballistus can keep up with the advancing Primaris battle line while laying down withering anti-tank fire. It lacks arms, so if anything gets close, it's in trouble. But its job is to ensure nothing ever gets close. It is efficient, cold, and deadly, a perfect symbol for the Primaris era. We have seen the boxes, the wolves, the wizards, and the disposable batteries, but we haven't talked about the monsters. There are 2 dreadnoughts left. One is a prison for the damned, and the other is a chariot for a god. Number 19. The Leviathan Siege Dreadnought. This is it, the sanity killer. The Leviathan was designed during the Great Crusade as a siege breaker, but it was so horrific that even the Primarchs were hesitant to use it. It is massive, bloated with armor, and equipped with weapons like the Gravflux Bombard and the Cyclonic Melter Lance, weapons that don't just kill, they erase matter. But the Leviathan's machine spirit is twisted. The chassis was designed with redundant systems to keep the pilot alive at all costs, but the neural interface is agonizing. Being interred in a Leviathan drives the pilot insane. It fills them with a burning, unquenchable hatred for all living things. They are not asleep between battles. They are trapped in a nightmare. When a Leviathan is not in combat, it must be kept in stasis chains and heavily guarded because it will try to kill its own tech marines. It is a rabid dog the size of a house. To be put in a Leviathan is not an honor. It is a sentence. It is the Imperium's ultimate weapon of terror, but it is a weapon that hates its wielder almost as much as the enemy. Number 20, the Telemon Heavy Dreadnought. And finally, we arrive at the apex, the number 1, the Telemon. If the Leviathan is a prison, the Telemon is a temple, used exclusively by the Adeptus Custodes. This is the largest dreadnought chassis in Imperial existence. It is smaller than a Night Titan, but not by much. It is covered in auramite armor that can shrug off orbital bombardments. Its weapons, the Arachnus Storm Cannon and the Caestus Power Fist, can destroy entire armies. But the true difference is the pilot. The Custodes do not treat their ancients as batteries or broken tools. The Telemon systems are perfect. The pilot does not suffer. He does not go mad. He is simply ascended. He becomes a golden giant, a guardian of the Imperial Palace who wields the Emperor's own wrath. The Telemon proves that the horror of the Space Marine dreadnoughts, the pain, the madness, the burning out, isn't necessary. It's a choice made by a decaying empire that forgot how to be kind. The Telemon is majestic. It is beautiful. And it is the deadliest thing on 2 legs in the 41st millennium. So there you have it, from the humble Castroferrum box to the godlike Telemon. The Dreadnought is the ultimate symbol of Warhammer 40,000. It represents the refusal to let go, the refusal to die. It is the lengths humanity will go to just to hold the line for one more day. But ask yourself this, when you look at the cool robot with the big guns, are you seeing a hero? Or are you seeing a man who has been screaming in the dark for 10,000 years, begging for an end that never comes? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the tombs of the future, smash the subscribe button for the Emperor. Comment below. Which dreadnought would you choose to be entombed in? Spoiler, the correct answer is, please